Oh, you're fine. It didn't record you. And I
Nope.
deleted anyways.
Yeah.
The- I'm getting better at editing. I still need to edit this week's episode, but which is celebrity fandom, which should be fun. Um,
I can't wait for the Swifties to come for me.
God, I don't think I was nice to the Swiftie. Well, I didn't say much.
Say anything mean.
Yeah, we're not mean people
I was
though.
just I was just honest.
Yeah, we don't
But
care.
a lot of times people don't like honesty, so
No, people don't like honesty. That's true. I mean, I learned that people who think you're being honest or mean when you're just being direct, it's like, you know, just get over it.
well, usually that's because they feel attacked because something about what you're saying or what you're being honest about makes them feel um like you're coming for them. And I'm like, well, if you have a problem or if you feel like that, maybe you should look in the mirror and see why you're feeling threatened or attacked by what I'm saying.
That's just like people like projecting their insecurities onto you as well. It goes both ways. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
well, been there, done.
Everybody is a snowflake. Like,
If they say that,
everybody.
they're probably lying or haven't come across the exact scenario to make them feel like a snowflake.
Mm, there.
You ever
Well,
just like see somebody's Facebook status and you just instantly, you don't even realize you're rolling your eyes to the back of your head?
this is why I deleted Facebook.
That's really smart. Um,
It is
I,
the most infuriating platform, other than Facebook Marketplace, of course.
oh yeah, honestly, I have it for mostly work purposes, but every now and then I do get sucked into the doom scrolling and I'm just, it's entertainment, but at the same time, I'm like, wow, some people really need therapy, like real therapy.
Yeah, I could as well do that. I did re-download it recently, and I did go back on it to like update a few things. And I'll probably post like from Instagram to Facebook, but like I literally don't ever get on it to scroll. But I did get on there
Apparently, that's
recently.
not good though for business purposes.
I imagine if you're advertising, it could be, but maybe I don't know.
I mean,
I
yeah,
don't
if you're
really
just
use
posting
it.
like regular things, like I share from Instagram to Facebook all the time. But I remember
Yeah.
somebody like who's really great with marketing said that the platforms prefer for you to interact with them individually. So when you share things from IG to Facebook, it might not be shown as widely.
I mean, that makes sense. Remember that TikTok video that I made and that I shared on my Instagram stories? It had 9 views, and the stories around it had like 300 views. And
Yeah.
I was like, what?
It's because it had your TikTok like name on there.
I know. So don't
It's
cross your
like
platforms,
shadow
y'all.
banned.
Yeah. I mean, if you're trying to get views, don't cross your platforms. It does have to be. I mean, I knew that, but like, I don't feel like getting on Facebook.
Sometimes yeah, I just don't care. I'm like, I made this content once, that's enough.
Hmm. Yeah.
Anyway,
So,
um,
I don't know if
I
coming down with something I've been like kind of feeling from in the last couple of
feel
days.
like it's
So,
just that change of seasons, this is that time of year.
well, and then the FDA recalled all cold meds and said they don't actually work.
Cool.
And so I've been just like downing the Zicam and like vitamin C, like thousands of milligrams of vitamin C.
Can you take Zicam? I thought that was orange, which means it
They made a dye-free Zicam.
good
I
for you.
like, I mean, I literally almost started crying.
On that note, let's get into today's topic. Today is going to be the Erin show. I'm going to let her take the lead. I'm going to ask some questions here, but we are going to take a deeper dive into perimenopause because a lot of us elder millennials are, whether or not we know it, approaching that phase in life, and you might have it and you don't even know yet. So maybe we can clarify.
And exactly. And just as a disclosure or some kind of statement here, we are not medical physicians or in healthcare at any point in life here. And so this is all my personal experience, Fallon's curiosity, and please consult your medical provider for actual information.
Correct. We are just having a conversation about the topic of perimenopause.
Yes. And I'm trying to figure out how to put my phone on sleep mode on focus. There we go. Okay, so that my text messages don't come through. Sorry. Um, so yeah, so we were not medical providers. So please ask your doctor for
Yeah.
real advice.
We're just delusional millennials who like to talk about problematic things. So,
Yep.
first up, how long have you been officially diagnosed as being in perimenopause?
Well, I my doctor told me back in May when I went for my annual gynecologist appointment to see her. Now, what I want to say here is that not every gynecologist, not every primary care doctor that you see specializes in perimenopause, menopause, or postmenopause. There's actually a way you can go to, like, I think it's menopause.org or menopause.com, and you can find out if there is a certified specialist near you. Or I mean, my doctor, she is based in Columbus, opinion, and most of them actually don't even take insurance. Like I actually pay for her out of pocket. She's cash only, and I do submit it to my insurance after. But so sidebar, uh, there are specialists out there that can give you like more in-depth information because despite the fact that more than 50% of the population is women, we do not do studies on women in depth, especially in perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause.
Um,
So,
I would actually like to add something to this part.
mm,
Uh, I think it's interesting, especially in the fitness area of things, that there's so many women who are not seeing any progress at all, and they work out really hard. They take these like crazy hit style boot camp classes, and like nothing's changing. So I think that it's important as like fitness professionals also to kind of like look into like women's health and women's issues to better serve your community and your clients, because there are a lot of people who have some hormonal stuff going on who also want to make progress. So,
check out menopause.org. I believe they actually have um, guidance for that too. Like I believe there's actually
actually,
like certifications for fitness providers, and we'll talk more about the fitness aspect because my experience with what has been going on. So
yeah, I will definitely look
relates to
into
that.
that. And then we will link the correct website on our
Yes,
Substack as well, because we're not sure if it's org or .com, but we
it
will get
is org, but yeah, we'll
org.
definitely
Okay.
I'll link it anyways
Yeah.
to make sure that like any information we discuss today, I'll make sure to link because I feel like this is something a lot of people don't know about. I mean, just to let you know, perimenopause is something that I believe can show up 7 to 10 years before you go through menopause.
Ooh.
And in case anybody doesn't know, menopause is actually 1 year, 12 months with no period. That is what menopause is. 1 year, so an entire 12 months without a period. And then after that, you're officially post-menopausal.
I remember when I was younger, I heard my mom talking about it, and I asked my dad, of all people, what menopause was, because I kept hearing my mom talk about it, and I was because let's see, my mom was 40 when she had me, so she was going through menopause when I was like still in high school. But he was like, "Oh," and I dead serious, like I was just like, "Oh, okay." He was like, "Oh, that's when the men all pause and stare at how beautiful your mother is."
Your dad is my superhero. Love him so much. Brian, this is a shout out to you. Number one dad, you're amazing. We love you.
Yes. Anyway, I have another question for you. I'm just going to keep asking questions and then you
Go
can
ahead.
answer to the best of your ability. So my next question is, what symptoms were you experiencing that led you to think I should probably go to a doctor and get this checked out?
Yeah, okay. So there were quite a few symptoms. And let me also, and there will probably be some not rants in between here, but I'll probably sidetrack because there's a lot of like layers to everything. So if I get too ranty, Fallon, just stop me.
Oh, don't
Um,
worry. I'll give you like a signal.
as we know from past conversations on this show, I've gone through in the last like 5 to 7 years, I've gone through a lot of different like health things, figured out what's been going on with me. And to be honest, I probably have more health things, but I'm done learning about my health. So we stop in for now.
You're done looking for problems.
I'm done looking for the problems. When you look, y'all, you can't take it back. I'm just letting you know. So we all know I have mast cell disorder, which is a high histamine production, and mine is gratefully very minimal compared to what some people have to deal with. But in that process, I have learned my body so well, my body and my mind so well that the slightest thing goes wrong, I'm like, something's not right. Now, back in February of 2023, and I'm sure there were more symptoms before this that I probably shook off and wasn't paying attention to as much. But in February of last year, February 2023, was when I was having this immense brain fog. And I'm not I mean, like, if you've experienced brain fog, you know, you get distracted, you're not paying attention, but like time disappears. Hours were disappearing. I literally thought I had a brain tumor. And I was like, at that, I'm gonna go like get an MRI. Like, I completely was freaking out because I literally one day was working and I guess I picked up my phone or something, and then and my phone alerts me when I've been on it for too long, like I have a setting, but I hadn't used up that time. But at some point, I put my phone back down, and almost 3.5 hours went by, and I don't know what happened. There was nothing there. I didn't do anything. There was no work done. My phone, everything was just there.
Were you on
But three and a
TikTok?
half, no, because my TikTok and my Instagram are on the same setting. I am allowed 1 hour a day on both, and so when it goes off, it shuts down both apps. And so, um, by the way, y'all, time setting your Instagram and TikTok and scrolly things is a godsend. Um, so basically, I couldn't believe it, and that started, and it was consistent for a while. It just kept gradually getting worse, and it was really concerning. I legit thought I had a brain tumor.
I
So
remember.
and I'm talking to my physical therapist because that wasn't the only sign. So my period, the days between my period was normally 26 to 28 days, was running 22 days, which that's like taking an entire week of my life to have my period all the time. Like, I mean, it literally felt like I was having it all the time. The other one was my skin has changed drastically, not just in terms of aging, although that's the biggest one, but like all of a sudden, I've always had like a little bit of rosacea, but the eczema breakouts, it is tied with food. So there's a fine line. Is it food? Is it skin changes? But also the droopiness in the jowls. My neck has gotten saggier, the skin is thinner. Um, Everything is just, and it was like such a subtle but heavy change that's really bothered me in the last year and a half that it didn't bother me before. So I know it's different. And that was another one. One that was really hard uh, was my sex drive, like plummeted. And it was one that really jarred me because I was like, I'm not ready to be like an old hag, you know? I mean, like, I was like, come on, I enjoy sex with my husband. Like, genuinely don't want this now. Like, I am 39 years old. And that is a myth, by the way. You're not going to become an old hag. There are ways to combat it. And what else was there? Oh, my energy levels. I mean, I could maybe work like I run my own businesses here. I work really hard and I work a lot, and my businesses were struggling. I think like between May and June, I had like one client that made me get by with bills, like my business bills, because I was like, this is not good. I could barely work like 2 to 4 hours a day. And I mean, and some days I would just sit there and just obviously 5 hours would disappear because I don't know what was going on.
I remember that
And
because we would have our like random FaceTime chats, and you were just like, I don't know what I'm doing with my time, but I'm not being productive.
I mean, half the time you call me and I'd be like on the couch, like laying there
This is true. Watching Buffy.
watching Buffy or something. Yeah, watching Buffy. Currently One Tree Hill. And um, what else was there? Oh, the joint pain. I started having joint pain, which I thought was really strange. Obviously, I had back pain from like an injury, but I wasn't expecting like the weird twinges in the knees or like in your elbow or your shoulders. And um,
Did you notice a difference in your sleep?
oh God, that's probably the biggest one. I went from being, and I'm not kidding you when I say I sleep 8 to 9 hours a night. Like I have no kids, I have no worries. I would wake up with Looney, take her out if she woke up, come back in, go right to bed, back to sleep. Now, when like back in February, March, when all this started really happening, I was getting 3 hours of sleep, sometimes less. If she woke up at 3 a.m. to go potty, I could not get back to sleep. And she would probably wake up 2:33 and I'd be awake for the rest of the night.
Mhm.
And that would go on. I mean, that went on for like months. And every now and then, I guess my body would get so tired, I'd get that 8 hours, or I'd take random naps throughout the day if I could. I have the privilege of that by working for myself, clearly. Um, but it was awful. The sleep component was the absolute worst thing of all.
Yeah. Okay. So once you kind of thought like, okay, there's clearly something wrong, what type of doctor did you reach out to first? Besides, I know you said your physical therapist.
Well, so that was the thing. I was seeing Wendy. So shout out to Dr. Wendy Chorney if you're in the Ohio area. She's amazing. Not to mention her TikTok has a lot of valuable information.
Also,
So I'll link her.
yeah.
She is incredible. She's actually doing a study right now for perimenopausal women in yoga to see if yoga helps women through perimenopause. So, also if you're in the Ohio area, Dayton, Ohio area, she is taking people who want to be a part of her research study. However, moving on, she, I was just telling her my symptoms, and she was literally like stabbing needles in my shoulders, her usual, her form of torture. And she says to me, "You are in perimenopause." She's like, "When's your next appointment?" And this was probably back in April. And I was like, "Actually, I have an appointment with Dr. Laura Valle in 2-ish weeks." She's like, "She's going to tell you you're in perimenopause." And I was like, "Huh." I was like, "But," I'm like, "Wendy, I'm only 39." And she's like, "It don't matter." She's like, 7 to 10 years before menopause. Everybody's different. So I went to see Dr. Valle, who is a both, I mean, her and Wendy are both like perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopausal specialists, and work with these type of women going through these things. And I see Dr. Valle, and she's, I mean, the first 5 minutes of my 45-minute to 60-minute appointment with her is, "Oh, yep, you're in perimenopause. Let's talk about all your symptoms. Let's see what to try you on. Let's talk about it. Run your vitals. Checking everything." And she was like, "Yep, definitely perimenopausal." Um, it was jarring. I'm sure you remember this. Like, I think I called you crying. Like,
You did. Another thing that I remember you like being very upset about was the fact that like you were working out this at this point, like you've been working out
oh,
3 to 5 days a week for the last couple of years, and you were like, if
I'm
anything, I'm getting bigger.
I was gaining so much weight, and not muscle weight. I was gaining actual fat. So one of the things in perimenopause is you gain visceral fat. So it's like fat that you can't necessarily see because it's around your organs. And which is also bad, especially if you have like heart disease in your family. Like that's really something you want to take focus on. And I, yes, have been working out 4 to 5 days a week for the last few years. For a long time, I mean, I think for 2 years straight, it was just Pilates, and I was doing Pilates almost 5 days a week.
And then I was
Um,
giving you some strength training workouts.
in
So it's like
between,
you should definitely have been gaining muscle as opposed to not.
right? And then, so when Wendy was teaching me, and you can see this on her TikTok as well, she was like, women, she's like, I wish women in their 30s knew this. If you are not lifting weights 3 times a week, targeting your muscle groups twice in a week, so whether you're doing upper body, lower body, upper body, lower body, or upper body, lower body, and a full body, like whatever it is, you just need to do it minimum 3 days a week, minimum 20 minutes of those 3 days, getting in as many steps as you can. They say 10K steps a day, really 8,000 is probably fine. It's just like for optimal health is to make sure you're moving that much.
I always shoot
However,
for 10 just to make sure I get at least 8.
yeah, oh, I look, if I don't get in my 10 to 12, I have to get in my 8. And I missed it yesterday by like 200 steps, but I was feeling so sick. I just laid down and thought I was going to die. And I was also in a car all day. But
Okay.
so Wendy was like, you want, she wished all women in her 30s knew you need to lift weights a minimum of 3 days a week, minimum 20 minutes, because the second you turn 35, you start losing muscle mass, you start losing bone density, and by the time you're 40, it just keeps going downhill and downhill. You start losing collagen at 32 to 35. Like, and the only thing that we can do to protect our bodies through menopause, to get us through menopause and into postmenopause, is lift weights, support our bodies through muscle, because the bone density just depletes. And as women, we are dealt a really rude hand.
Yeah.
And so I would say, if you are not lifting weights, and Fallon will, like, let's talk about weights for a minute, because I feel like people are like, oh, just you need to pick up something heavy and like do some bicep curls. Yes, but you can also do body stuff, right?
Yeah. I think that people tend to overcomplicate things when it comes to working out in a weight room or around weights. I think if you have one of those gyms that has like a whole bunch of equipment, like that's cool, but like you really only need some dumbbells. Like, it comes down to just like basic movements, like your hinge, your squat. You want to be able to like obviously like bicep curls, of course, but you want to work on your core. Like core strength is a big deal, and doing like unilateral and bilateral work, because as we get older too, that helps with balance and like slip and falls. And I mean, that tends to happen as we get older, and then you break a hip. And so like working on like one side at a time, doing like single leg RDLs or things like that, where you're working just like focusing on one side at a time, I think that helps to build that core strength and that balance. And you're not even really thinking about it. It just happens. As long as you're moving with intention and focus and really working on building strength. And once you feel like, my motto is whatever weight you start with. If you start with a 5 pound weight, like if you start with a 3 pound weight, it does not matter. Whenever getting through your reps feels easy, it's time to go up. I don't think that increasing your weight makes people bulky. I think that is a huge myth that
It is.
a lot of women use as an excuse to stay out of the weight room. But
I
um,
used that for years. And, I was asking Wendy about that. And she goes, if you wanted to get bulky, she's like, you need to eat like what, like 5,000 calories a day, where like literally 70% of it is protein. You are lifting weights hours and hours a day to get that kind of body.
yeah,
We're
like
asking 20 to
people,
40 minutes.
all these like weightlifters and people who really focus on bodybuilding, like that doesn't happen by accident. Like that is intentional. They are working intentionally for that goal of being bigger, having these larger muscles. Hypertrophy would be the word for that. But
Yeah.
I think that people need to stop being scared of lifting weights. Like you said before, like all these fun classes, like jumping rope is actually great.
Yeah.
Cardio is great. Like you need to do cardio as well, but I think more people need to focus on their strength training.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it is crucial for our bodies. And I mean, I said this last time, white women will do anything to not just lift weights.
And after you said that, I got so many like ads and reels and TikToks about like people like doing these like bungee cord workouts and jumping on these trampolines and all these things. And I just started laughing. And I was like, this is Erin's fault.
Yes. Now, the other thing I will say, and I have had I've had two full hormone panels drawn this year, and so basically a blood draw, and they are expensive, by the way. However, and your first one is cheaper if you have insurance, but the second one is very, very pricey. So diverting on a rant there. My apologies. I was going to say. Oh, so in the hormone panel, that was the other thing is understanding your cortisol levels because everybody's like, oh, if I run or do high impact or do a lot of cardio, the problem is like if your cortisol levels are high and you are doing those things, like you are doing yourself no favors. It will actually cause you to gain weight. It'll cause your stress levels to increase. Like it is obviously not ideal for people with high cortisol levels. Like if you're constantly in flight or fight mode, you should probably not be doing high impact things. Low impact, like weightlifting and walking, are more valuable to your body than running or
I definitely saw more progress, like faster, when I had increased my daily steps. And that was just walking. Like, don't get me wrong, I wasn't strolling. I was walking with intention and like purpose for it to be a moment of exercise. But do not underestimate walking. And it's true, your body does not know the difference between you being chased by a bear or you being stressed out. Fight or flight is just fight or flight.
just imagine you being chased by a bear.
I feel like I would probably just like try to fight it. I don't know. I'm like, I'm not gonna outrun a bear.
Yeah, probably not.
We
Now
might
for
end
me,
up
it's like,
waltzing.
yeah, probably. It'd be cute.
Yeah. I feel like bears are like they're given a bad rep. Mickey
Loves
loves
bears.
bears. She
Lori
wants
does too.
Mickey is like determined to like boop a bear on the nose.
I'd like to see her try. There's gonna need to be like a 6-inch pane of glass in between her and the bear if for that to happen.
But yeah,
Okay.
like yes, we digress. Okay, so next question. Um, wait, where'd I go? Here we go. So obviously you had these panels drawn, you knew your cortisol levels, you found out all that information. What lifestyle changes besides the walking and the strength training have you been through? Because I know it's extensive.
It is extensive. Yes, I have increased my steps. I range 10 to 15,000 a day, which has been exceptional for my health, my mental health, my physical health, my well-being, all of it. It does take time. So, and I don't have to like go to a job. I work from home, so I'm able to be flexible. So it's got to be hard. But I got to say, during Amazon Prime Day, y'all get a walking pad. Will change your life. The other thing is obviously the strength training, which I've been weightlifting since December of 2023. I started it consistently 3 days a week. Recently I started trying to do 4 days a week, but apparently I keep getting sick every time I try to do it. So we're back to 3 days a week for right now.
You should link the walking pad that you have.
I will. I'll link
Yeah.
the walking pad. I'll also link to Wendy's TikTok. I'll link Dr. Laura Valle in case you're in the Ohio area. She does take telehealth appointments as well, and she's pretty amazing. Um, and since she's cash only, she might take more telehealth out of state. I don't know how that works, but she could be a great resource for many people in case I'll see what she offers. Um, Anywho, so the strength training has been a big one. And that obviously like strength training for like 6 months and I was gaining no muscle was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
And now I'm finally starting to gain muscle because I am on the right hormones. I am on progesterone
Okay,
and
so
I'm
that was
on,
my next question for
oh,
you.
okay. Yeah.
It after you've been through, all right, you had the panels drawing, you know your cortisol levels, you're kind of getting more familiar with what's going on with your body. What was your specific recommended treatment? Obviously, this is going to be different for everybody. This is just your experience that was,
Yeah.
but
So, and
just
I'll combine
let me
this.
do.
Yeah. And I'll combine this with the last question because this is part of that transition of things that have changed because I started the progesterone, which takes a couple weeks, but once you get on it, my sleep
And this is
has
cream?
the progesterone is a pill. I'm
Okay.
taking I think at two a night. Um it's pill, like little mini capsules.
Okay.
And I'm taking that every night before I go to bed. And I mean, I'm back to 8 or 9 hours of sleep. It's very rare for me not. Sometimes it happens. I don't get a lot of sleep, but like it is pretty rare at this point. Like it's going
I
back
do
to normal.
I do feel like there's always like a couple days every cycle where I have like insomnia. And I'm usually a
And
really good,
that's true.
yeah.
So with the changes that I've done, is I have started cycle syncing over the last few years, and that has been, I mean, that was before the perimenopause, but because I started cycle syncing and understanding how my body works with all four phases of my cycle, it brought me so much clarity, and that's how I knew I was in perimenopause. And we can come back to that because I can also talk about seed cycling as well.
Yeah, we'll
But
go back to that.
yeah, so I do. I'm also on a testosterone cream. So when I got my hormone panels back, my ovaries were producing negligible amount to none of testosterone,
And
and
for
that
those people
was
who don't know, women produce testosterone typically.
30
That
to
is,
60, I think, is the measurement there.
yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. But I was literally producing negligible to zero. Yes, women produce it. How else are you going to build muscle? How else is your body gonna, I mean, your brain gonna have cognitive function? Like your body needs these hormones to survive and thrive and do whatever it is it does.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so testosterone and progesterone is what I'm on now. Um, I also, the big one that the big other big change that I went through, I quit coffee,
Ugh.
which I know
Hard no. Like I don't want it.
it's been a game changer though, I must
I know.
say.
I know.
As someone who basically lives in fight or flight mode, my nervous system is kind of always a wreck, always dysregulated, and I've gotten really great at like working with a nervous system coach a few years ago. She was incredible and Masha changed my life really, and helped me get to the place I'm at now. But I was living in dysregulation, and the coffee did not help. And so I made the switch to matcha because it's a slow release, but also eating with your coffee can help as well if you like stay on coffee. I decided to get off of it completely. But you do not, as a woman, whether you're in perimenopause or not, or like even if you're a stressed out woman, hell, if you're a stressed out man, it doesn't matter. You need to eat with your coffee
Oh yeah,
because your
coffee is not a
body, coffee is not a meal. Let's tell that to my husband.
meal.
Coffee is not a meal. It literally it spikes your stress hormone, your cortisol, and then I like, you know, people wonder why they get jittery or you know, you have to eat so your body can have something to digest and
Was
focus
it
on.
was it you who told me to eat a banana? Oh no, I think maybe Robbie told me. If you eat a banana with your coffee, it like helps with the jitters.
Well, probably because it gives your body something to break down.
Well, yeah, but it's
That
like
could be
specific. It was specifically a banana.
but I
Uh,
mean, as I imagine, because it's got a higher sugar content. Maybe I
maybe
don't know.
potassium. I don't
Maybe
know.
the potassium.
Apparently, if you feel jittery from your coffee, you should eat a banana. Although
You
you
should
can't
eat
have bananas.
anything. No, I can't have bananas. They're high in histamine. I miss bananas though.
Okay, so but real quick, like back up before we continue. So you're on the two different hormone treatments. The testosterone, that is a cream though, correct?
That is a cream.
Okay.
You've seen me put the cream on. It's pleasant.
Yes, let's talk about that because I think these are things that people don't know. I
This
didn't
is
know this. And
it's
I think
very
there's a lot
personal,
of
so
people.
hopefully this helps people.
And that's the thing. I don't think this is something that people talk about often. And if you don't ask, you're not going to know. And a lot of people don't ask. So they will never know unless they stumble upon this podcast. So we're
Well,
getting to it.
and I'm a very transparent person. I have no problem talking about my personal anything. So if y'all have questions, I am an open book. But ask me, what were you gonna ask me? The
Uh,
testosterone
about
cream.
the testosterone cream, how do you apply?
So, all right. So the testosterone cream needs to go where your skin is thinnest. So I dab the amount that I'm supposed to put on my inner forearm, and then I take my inner forearm and I rub it on the opposite inner thigh. So get your yoga mats out, ladies. You're gonna need to stretch.
So you put it on your arm, inner
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 forearm,
forearm. Yes.
like by your elbow,
Like
like inside of your elbow.
I kind of put it like up here by the elbow. Yeah, like right here, up by the
Okay.
elbow.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I rub it. I take it and rub it on my, and you have to do it for a solid minute.
I just can't help but think about when we were in New York and all four of us were in the hotel room and the boys are just like, "What are you doing?" Keep in mind, we were traveling with two gay men, like, so we were not being super modest, but it was just so we all looked at you and were like, "What are you doing?"
I have to apply it. It has to be the same time every day.
And I applaud you for sticking to it and being consistent. It's
I mean,
clearly helped. I feel like you have made some great strides and improved overall.
the fact that I can get my inner thigh to my inner bicep, inner forearm is a miracle. Let's admit that right now.
Like playing Twister.
It is. So, on top of weightlifting, 10 minutes of mobility a day won't hurt you either.
Question. Was that how you were instructed to put it on, or is that just you're like, this skin is thin, I'm gonna do this?
So, I think it was either Wendy or maybe it was Wendy who told me that was the optimal way to do it because I was
Okay.
because like Laura told me she was like, you need to rub it either like on here or on your inner thigh. But Wendy was like, the optimal way to do it is you have to like put it here, and then rub it. And I was like, I want optimal results here, so we're gonna go optimal.
I feel like
But
everybody needs to go follow Wendy on TikTok.
she's amazing. Um, yeah, especially for people who like are starting to struggle with frozen shoulder. She talks a lot about that. And we have a friend who struggles with frozen shoulder. I'm telling you, Nikki, this episode might be for you, hon.
Oh God.
I
She's
know
like,
she's
I
had
want to
some.
hear it.
I know. But his frozen shoulder is a big perimenopausal sign as well, and she
Hmm.
does talk a lot about that, as well as she has like links. Let me. The other thing I'm on the other lifestyle changes is I changed my vitamins per both my doctors, and my morning vitamins. I'm on omega 3s. Um, I started taking a right now I'm on vitamin C. When I get sick, I just take down the vitamin C. Vitamin D3 K2 blend is, I mean, it helps improve your mood. It's really great because what every single person, male, female, whatever you go with, your body is lacking in vitamin D3.
So
So the
probably like,
vitamin Oh, of course. The vitamin D3 K2 blend is special because I believe the K2 points the D3 where to go. And what people don't realize is D3 is actually a hormone, not necessarily a vitamin. So it does help, like it's like a lack in your body or something like that. Wendy explains it better than I do. But I'm on that as well, and that's been a game changer for my mood as well. Like it really helps with like kind of those depressive states that can happen. And then at night, I am on my MCAS meds, but I'm also on magnesium glycinate. That's another one that you like have to get on. So it's the key one, and those are you want to take the magnesium glycinate at night because it does kind of make you drowsy.
mhm.
So magnesium glycinate, omega 3s, vitamin D3, K2, and then I started taking an NAD plus supplement recently. Nobody told me to
Been
take that. I'm
reading
just
about,
trying it.
I've been reading about those.
Um, I take resveratrol from Thorne.
Hmm.
Energy, energy boost within a day.
Okay.
I
Need it.
mean, 10 out of 10 I recommend.
Need it.
I've only
Go
I've
ahead.
only been on it for like 30, not even 30 days, like probably about 3 weeks. And before I really push anything, I give it at least 3 months. I'll still share it, but it's because it's Thorne, I trust it. I've taken their vitamins, but it's really so far I see improvement.
Yeah. Also just something that I was looking up here as I was looking at different questions to ask you. Um, One of the frequently asked questions is perimenopause the same thing as premenopause? because a lot of times people do use the words interchangeably, but apparently premenopause is literally the time from your first period up until you get perimenopause.
Yeah,
That's just like any woman who has a period. Um,
right.
that, yeah,
So yeah, I don't that I didn't know that either until recently.
yeah.
And perimenopause is like again a 7 to 10 year window before menopause.
Which is
Everything else before that is
wild
pre.
that it's so
Yeah.
long.
Well, and I think that's just been like there's some people even saying it can be 10 to 15 years now because the signs like our bodies are changing and
I also
I
feel
mean
like
it's
there's
nuts.
still so much to be studied about the
Oh yeah.
female body. So,
100%. I mean I feel like I've just crossed the threshold of understanding my body and I'm pretty familiar with everything going on.
yeah.
Yeah, another question.
Um, Not really. That was all of the questions that were like frequently asked on Google that I came up with. But if you had like one piece of advice for our listeners who would be affected by this, what would that be?
I don't have one, I have many. But the first one I would honestly say is like don't ignore your signs. Like if you are just like, oh, it's just because it's my period. Oh, it's just because I'm a woman. Like don't just toss it out the window. If you're feeling something, like find your doctor. If your doctor doesn't listen to you, doesn't understand, find another one. Because guess what, y'all? You have to advocate for your own health care.
Yeah,
Doctors are trained, and I love my doctors, but they are trained in medicine. Not all doctors are trained in root cause. They're not trained to help look at every facet. They're trained to here's some medication to make it feel better. And yes, more than likely, more than the time that's the case, and you need that. I'm not saying it's not, but it's not the only solution, you know? And I feel that you have to advocate for your own health care and take care of your body. And if you know something is wrong, you stand you stand by yourself and reach out until you find the person that's going to listen to you.
yeah,
You have to demand from your doctors, this is not right. I need actual help.
yeah,
And not enough of us do that. We just blindly accept what our doctors offer, and that's fine, but they're busy, especially if you're going to see someone who is under insurance because they're going to just be like, here's your 5 minutes and move on. If
hmm,
you are going to spend the extra money to go see somebody who's a cash doctor, they don't take insurance. And my doctor is a doctor. She is a gynecologist. She delivers babies. Like she's an OBGYN. She just has her own private practice and is cash only. And I get my first appointment was like 90 minutes with her. My follow-up appointments are 45 minutes to 60 minutes and it is worth it because of the care that I get. It is worth it because of the amount of knowledge that she has. She's certified and trained in additional fields within her work. So that way she is able to take care of me at the phase of life I'm
yes, I do agree that these doctors are really
in.
busy. I have a wonderful doctor that I switched over to in the last year. And recently I had to reschedule a visit with her because I was going to be out of town. That was the week that I was leaving to go to ACL. Like I was supposed to see her that Friday. Um, and so I called to reschedule, and now I can't see her until March, which is fine. I'm like, I'm healthy. I was just going for like a yearly checkup type thing. But I will say she's one of those doctors that gives you her actual time and attention. And so like my very first visit with her, when I left, I felt like I had left a therapy session. Like she listened
Mm-hmm.
to everything and within like that visit was able to say like, I think this might be the issue. We're going to try this, this, and this. And honestly, like the next time I saw her, she was like, all right, so what's up? Last time you saw me, you had this, 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 and this wrong. Like, how are you feeling? And I was like, I'm feeling great. Like it worked. So it is definitely important to find a doctor who is going to take the time to listen to everything that you have to say and all of your ailments and not just like brush it um under the rug, which if you are in the New Orleans area, I know she's busy and hard to get with, but Dr. Meredith Maxwell, she is with the LCMC system and is amazing. She actually sees a good bit of my friends. Like a good bit of my friends go to her.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's websites that you can find these types of doctors too that can help you like in your area. And it's really helpful to do your research.
I
You
will
want to
say
be able to trust your
she's my
doctor.
primary care. I've actually seen the same OBGYN since I was 19. And she also delivered a few of my friends' babies too, but Dr. Jennifer Legate is also another great OBGYN in the LCMC network in the New Orleans area. If anybody is in need, those are my two doctors, and I love them both dearly.
Well, you should find out if she specializes in perimenopause because you're going to need it.
Shh.
You probably got time. You had a baby. Now, I think that's the other thing I should mention. I have not had children, and I am going, like, my doctor was actually genuinely concerned that I was like going into early menopause because I have not had children, and my grandmother went through perimenopause. I mean, went through menopause early at like 47, and she had four babies.
That does make a difference. Also, it was really funny. So my grandmother, she had 10 children, five girls, five boys. My mother is the oldest of 10 children. And she always told my mom, like, especially when my mom was really going through it with the hot flashes, like I remember the house being freezing cold. It was miserable for me. So I can only imagine now that I'm older and understand the like torment that is menopause. Um, my grandma was like, I didn't have menopause. I think I used all my hormones because I had 10 kids. She never went through it. She just like one day, I mean, I guess she went through it in the sense that like one day she didn't have a period anymore, but she had no hormonal issues, like no hot flashes, no nothing. That woman was as strong as an ox.
I was gonna say she's like a tank, man.
Yeah.
Like, look, I would get my uterus removed in a heartbeat if insurance would cover it because my mom even made the joke the other day. I think she said something like, "Your uterus is like an old truck. If you just let it sit there, it just gets worse."
I'm imagining some sort of like, I don't know, hollow, dusty vault.
Exactly what I picture. I picture like like sometimes like when you're in the country and you see somebody's like old rusty truck sitting on the side of the road with no tires, no engine, the hood's off. Like that's an old uterus. Ever since she told me that, every time I see like if I'm like driving in the country, like recently we were driving through West Virginia, and there's like these dilapidated houses, like old cars sitting out in the front, and there's nothing to it. It's a rusty old piece of junk, and I'm like, that's what a uterus looks like. Got it.
I mean, if you're not going to use it, you might as well get rid of it. But that's not how healthcare in this place works. So,
No, no, it does not. Unfortunately, and I don't even think even like if you've had kids, you have a better chance. If you don't have kids, trying to get your uterus removed and get insurance to cover it when nothing's wrong, not possible. They
oh,
won't
I
do it. I've asked.
imagine. That's pretty much all the questions and statements I had for you with perimenopause. Do we want to tell them what we're talking about next week?
I don't even know what's next week. My
We're
notes got
talking about
deleted.
we're talking about Thanksgiving food.
Oh, I know. And I'm cooking some exciting things this year.
So yes, we're going to be talking about our favorite Thanksgiving food, the stuff that we love, the stuff that we hate, the stuff that we never want to eat again. Um,
Hmm.
and we have a special link I'll have to find that we can post about your Thanksgiving claim to fame.
I can't find it anymore.
I'm gonna find it.
I'm gonna need you to find it, Roy. And I can't. I think I have. I'm sure I have a screenshot somewhere.
I'm gonna find it, but next week, Thanksgiving food, let's get into it.
I cannot. I still can't believe that. People are so rude.
I love it so much.
Oh, geez.